Hey everybody, my name is Alex with Hake Hardware, and in this video we are going to go over how to monitor your farmer and your node with Prometheus. So this guide is geared towards those running their node and their farmer in the CLI, and you should already have Prometheus as a service running on your computer, and you should have Grafana already installed. For this specific set of guides, I have it set up more towards using Grafana in the cloud, but the same steps really should work if you're running Grafana in Docker or you're running Grafana as a service. So there's a lot of ways to run Grafana. And I will put a link to setting up Grafana in here, although if you're following like the larger guide that's associated with this, you've likely already set everything up. So this is just a review. If you're following these guides, you already have your node and farmer exposing metrics on port 9080 for the node and 9081 for the farmer. So if you haven't done that, you're going to need to add these to your command, and then you'll need to restart your node and your farmer so that it starts publishing metrics. So if you're following my guides, you will have a config for Prometheus at this location. And what we're going to do is basically add in our autonomous jobs. And a job is basically metrics that are going to be scraped, and you can put in some endpoints here. So as you can see, we have a target for localhost 9080. That's going to be our node, and that's why we set the type as node. And then we have localhost 9081, and again, that is up here for the farmer. So we'll put this in our config, we'll restart Prometheus, and then we'll be able to import a dashboard in Grafana. So it's actually really easy. Let's get over into our terminal so we can start making these changes. So as mentioned, the first thing we're going to do is open up our Prometheus config. So sudo nano etc prometheus prometheus.yaml. And then we're going to just go, this is the default config. There's a lot of stuff you really don't need in here, but I'm going to go just down to the bottom here, and I'm going to just copy what's in the wiki, and the wiki will be linked in the description of the video. And if you followed my guides exactly and your setup's exactly like mine, you can pretty much leave this as is. If your node or your farmer are not on the same host as Prometheus, then you're more than likely going to need to swap out localhost with the IP address of your node or farmer, your internal IP address. That way, Prometheus will be able to scrape those metrics. So as it stands right here, this is perfectly fine. For instance, you can change this. This is just what I'm using. Actually, I should change this to Bob because that's what this, I usually use my host name and for the instance. And these are just labels that get pulled into Grafana, and you're able to like set up rules and queries specifically targeting these labels. So it's kind of nice to have, and you're actually going to see that in the dashboard that we import. We're going to have to change a few things related to the labels. So when I'm all done editing this, I can do Control X, then Y, then Enter to save that file. And the next thing we're going to want to do is restart Prometheus. So restarting it will make sure it loads the latest config. So sudo systemctl restart Prometheus. And it's a good idea just to check the status. Earlier I made a mistake in the config and I didn't realize until a little bit later that Prometheus hadn't started correctly. So you can do sudo systemctl status Prometheus, and it looks like everything is working well. So we can just clear that. And let's go back to our browser. And one thing we can do is check our Prometheus web front end. So mine's 192.168.69.99, 9090. And then if you click status, targets, I can see that I have a new target. It's basically the jobs. So this is split up into different jobs. So we had the Autonomys job and the Prometheus job. And then you can see these are the two endpoints that I'm scraping, the two targets that we put in. They're in an up state, which means that they are successfully publishing metrics, and you can see the labels that we put in here. We have the instance of Bob, the job is Autonomous, and the type is node and farmer. So we are good to go at this point. We can jump into Grafana. And what we're going to want to do is go to the dashboards section, click new, and then import. And then you're going to put 2433. That's going to be the ID that will load the dashboard. So a community member has built out a dashboard that basically has everything set up so that you can monitor your node and farmer instead of having to build one from scratch. So you could theoretically build these from scratch if you understand how to use Prometheus and Grafana, but we're going to kind of take a shortcut and use a pre-built dashboard. So 20433, so 20433, click load. And then I already have one running, which is why I'm getting these saying that a dashboard already exists. So I'm just going to rename this to Autonomous Dashboard. And then even if there wasn't already a duplicate in here, I usually rename this. So I'll just put Autonomous here. And then we need to select our data source. So when we set up our Prometheus data source previously, we're just going to want to make sure to select the right one. Mine is Prometheus testing. And then from there, you'll just click import. And your dashboard should load up right away. Now, one thing that I don't like are these links to all these dashboards. I don't know if this is a setting that I have or a setting that's part of the dashboard we imported, but if you go to edit and you go to settings and then you go to links, you can delete this and then just click save dashboard and check the box, click save, and then go back to dashboard and they're all gone. So I don't know if you happen to have that, you can make those changes and it'll be a little bit easier to see what's going on. I'm also going to switch this from 6 hours to 3 hours and just hit save dashboard again. I usually just save it right after like any of my changes. And then you'll notice the node connections isn't working. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the 3 dots up here, go into edit, and then instead of it saying group down here for the label, we want to select type. And then we just leave it as node and then click run queries. And then we're good. Then we would hit save dashboard and then save. And then you can go back to dashboard. So we got that one fixed. I also don't like, it says sync peers and there's 2 of these listed here. I think this is mostly because I had an instance running before and now it's just like a duplicate. But either way, I don't like that it says __ name. So we're going to go in here, click edit, and I'm going to go to options. And then for the legend, I'm going to do custom. And I'm going to do type, I think I'll want to do here. And you can see it just says node now. So remember that label, the type, now it's going to say node. So if I were to change this dashboard, if I exit edit, or actually I didn't need to exit edit, but if I save this to like the last 15 minutes, you can see how sync peers went from 2 of them to just 1. That's because like I said before, I had this when I was testing and then I stopped it. And then when I came back, I started it again. And so there's like duplicate metrics, but you shouldn't get that if you're doing this for the first time. So I'm just going to leave it at 15 minutes just so that it's a little bit easier to see. So what we have here are blocks imported. We have our peers. We have our up and down speeds. And it looks like the farmer connections is also broken. So we'll go in here, we'll click edit. Same thing, we're going to switch this to type and then run query, and we can see we're getting our farmer connections again. I'll click save dashboard, save, and then back to dashboard. So here we can see the sectors downloaded. I can see how many I've plotted, how many sectors I've plotted versus how many I have not plotted. So when this green gets all the way up to this yellow, or basically when this turns all green, then I know that my disks are fully plotted. So I'm about 50% here. It looks like there's 500 less plots on this one than this one, so they're going a little bit different. You can see sector download times, sector encode times, sector write times. Now this is totally off. It's saying like nearly a minute for my plot times, that is likely going to change. It's either because the metrics are newly being added here or they're just getting calculated in a weird way. I know that I'm at like definitely under 20 seconds for my sectors. And then you have some auditing time, proving time, and then your capacity. So I don't know why used is 2040, but that might be like remaining, and these might be megabytes or something. I'll have to look into that. I'm not too sure what it's. Oh, these are pieces. Okay. So, yeah, I'm not too sure what the value 2056 and 2040 is for, but maybe they're stale. I'm not sure. Anyways, this is the dashboard. We got it all set up, and this is a great way. Click Save Dashboard again. Make sure you're always clicking Save Dashboard, and then you can do Exit Edit. Actually, it looks like, okay, it's saved. Then I can do Exit Edit, and there you go. So you can always find your dashboard in the dashboard section. Mine was Autonomous Dashboard here, and you'll be able to go in and check on your node. So if you notice, there's no data or the peers have gone to 0 or something, then you know something's wrong. You don't have to constantly be watching your logs. All right, that is getting Prometheus and Grafana set up to monitor your node and farm. Hopefully that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.